Good morning. Let's try this again. I'm having technical difficulties this morning. I think I'm about a minute early, so I will wait for those who can to join, and we will have a chat this morning. Feel like my brain and my body are not syncing today. Do you ever have days like that? I hope that y'all have survived the crazy weather. Texas doesn't get all of the pretty snow that some of you get. We get ice, which makes traveling nearly impossible. So that's what we had for a couple of days last week. We were iced in. They predicted snow, but we didn't get any snow at my house. We just got about 24 hours of sleet and freezing rain. So I didn't leave my house at all. And then for Saturday, and my days are all running together. Saturday, my husband left to go to work early, about 5:30 in the morning. And we still had some ice on the roads, not much, but some. And he got a little ways from home and realized that he had left his wallet. And so he turned around and came back, and instead of coming through the garage door, he said he was afraid that would wake me up. So he came through the front door, and and our front porch is in shade. And so it was a solid sheet of ice, and he stepped on the front porch and his feet went out from under him, and he slammed down on his back and hurt his back and his shoulders. We have a flower bed, brick wall around our flower bed, and it hit his shoulders. So he wasn't moving well yesterday. But he is, positive that he didn't do any damage, and he'll be fine. He'll be fine. That's my husband. He could have a limb hanging by one artery and it, pumping blood, and he would say, I'll be fine. So how are y'all? I see that you are coming in, but I'm not seeing any comments, so you are being very quiet this morning. I am trying to watch my phone. I can't do the live chat on my laptop for some reason. It won't let me, so I have to do the live chat on my phone and then watch for comments on my laptop. So that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to jump in. Please feel free to comment, and I'm watching, and I will do my best to respond. Just to give you an update, I know I didn't do a chat last week. My brother-in-law passed away last week, and so my sister-in-law is she was a late life bride. Well, my brother-in-law is about 40 years I think about 40 years older than her, and she's from the Philippines, and so English is not her primary language, and they have an 11-year-old son. So we spent most of our spare time last week trying to help her navigate what life is, all of the decisions that she has to make, and then what her life is going to be like. And that's it's very difficult for my husband to grieve and have to fill that role at the same time. So I just didn't have a spare minute last week. Next week, I'm going to do my best to have a guest on. That was so much fun. I love seeing people and meeting people that we've been chatting with on here for years. I just think that's such a fun thing to do. And so I'm going to do my best to have a guest on next week. So stay tuned for that. What I want to talk to you about briefly this week, and this may be a fairly short one, but I want to talk about, because I've been reading so much about this lately. And Chris fell. Chris, I'm so sorry. Ugh, it's not, I'm telling you, it's just not fun, is it? Okay, I've been reading a lot lately about calorie density and how just making those choices can make such a difference in our overall caloric intake for the day, and also it will have a big impact on our weight loss. So here's what you may be saying, well, what in the world is calorie density? Calorie density is basically the, in a nutshell, this is just going to be a really super simple way of saying it. But if you picture a stomach, you know, like a picture like an eggplant shape, the volume of food that will fill your stomach versus a food that isn't going to, like say 300 calories of oil in your stomach would take up very little space, versus a food that's full of fiber and volume is going to take up a lot more space. So obviously the food that takes up more space in your stomach is going to make you feel full a lot longer. It's that satisfaction. So I just looked up a couple of things real quick. So 1 pound of donuts. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who's going to eat a pound of donuts? Well, I would. I maybe have in the past. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that, but I'm just being honest with you. A pound of donuts is 2,000 calories minimum, depending on what you put on those donuts. But just plain old donuts, 1 pound of donuts is about 2,000 calories. Okay, I'm pretty sure I would feel full and miserable after eating a pound of donuts, but I have now consumed over 2,000 calories in doing that. A pound of grapes is 300 calories. Do you see the difference? I'm probably going to be equally full and miserable for different reasons after eating a pound of grapes, but I've spent almost close to 1/10 of the number of calories. 1 gram, if you weighed it, 1 gram of chocolate is 550 calories. Okay, that 1 gram of chocolate is going to be a teeny tiny little amount. I mean, if you have practiced weighing your food on a scale, you're probably, like me, have been shocked at how little it takes to make an ounce or a gram. And if you're not weighing your food, we'll talk about that in a minute. But so 1 gram of chocolate is 550 calories, whereas 1 gram of vegetables is average 30 calories. Now, I know that some of you are gonna say, and I'll get messages on it, we don't count calories in Weight Watchers. We kind of do. We just call them points. The points are derived from a very sophisticated formula that factors in calories and fiber and fat and protein and sugar, but we really are, in a way, counting calories. We're just calling them points because it involves much more than just a calorie. But the fact of the matter is, even with points, if we're eating the food that we get more bang for our buck, we're going to be more full longer. We're not going to get those snacky cravings because our tummy is more satisfied. And it's just better for our digestive system. We need the fiber. We need the bulk. We don't need the sugar. We don't need the fat. So I guess my point is, I would rather have, because I'm a bargain shopper, I would rather choose the foods that give me more for my buck let me eat longer and feel more full than that one tiny little bar of chocolate. For the same amount of calories as one little square of chocolate, I could eat, I'm just looking here on my counter, I could probably have 2 apples. I could probably have an apple and a string cheese. I could have some air fried veggies made into chips, and a piece of fruit. You see where I'm going? It really all comes down to, what are you going to spend your Weight Watchers points, bucks on? When I led Weight Watchers, I used to remind my class that your daily points is like your wallet for the day. It's like you woke up in the morning and let's say you get 25 points. I don't know what you get, but we'll just say 25. It's almost as if your mom gave you 25 $1 bills and said, here you go, this is what you eat on today. So everything that goes in your mouth has to come out of that allowance or that wallet. If that were true, and if we really looked at it like that, we would start getting pretty stingy with that 25 $1 bills, right? Now, if you've been around here long at all, you know that I'm not a fan of the 0 point food, because I don't believe that mentally I need to be telling myself that any food isn't going to cost me something, because it is. Every food has calories and has protein and has fat and has fiber and all of those things that factor in to my caloric intake for the day. So for me, I don't subscribe to I can have these foods and it doesn't cost me anything. If that works for you, fantastic, keep doing it. But for me, I can't. So I get very stingy with my daily budget of calories or points or whatever it is you're counting. So I have started really trying to figure out, how can I eat, what can I eat where I'm getting the most quality food for the least amount of calories. Why? Because I've told y'all, I am a snacker. And so the middle of the afternoon, if I had something small for lunch that had a lot of calories, but it was a small amount of food, or it didn't take me long to eat it, by mid-afternoon, I am craving. Am I hungry? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm snacking. That snack monster is just. So I do much, much better at lunch eating a very high volume, low calorie lunch. My lunch this week is this. Last week was really similar. Yesterday, I cooked in my Instapot some brown rice, and I put a half a cup of brown rice in each of my lunch containers after it was cooked. Then on a sheet pan, I cut up butternut squash, broccoli, bell pepper, Japanese sweet potato, red onion, yellow squash, zucchini. I think that was it. I chopped all that up into little bite-sized pieces, and I spread that on a baking sheet pan, and I baked it, roasted it, whatever you want to call it, in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. And I just seasoned it with a little bit of seasoning salt. And then I divided all that up on top of the brown rice with in my containers. Now, I know that some of you are going to say, well, where's your protein? Put it in MyFitnessPal and see how much protein is in all of that vegetables, a bunch. And then I made a sauce. And this is going to sound really bizarre to you, but my daughter told me about this sauce, and it's called lick the bowl clean peanut sauce or something like that. And it basically has low sodium soy sauce, garlic, ginger, peanut butter, and you can use the PB2 to eliminate a lot of the fat, maple syrup, a couple of other spices. I can't remember what's in it. It makes a sauce. And then I just drizzled a little bit of that over my rice and veggies. That made a big, I'll grab one and show you how big it is. Now it looks ugly because the sauce kind of gets thick, and when it's heated, it doesn't, it kind of, it's gonna be loud, sorry. Again, it looks ugly, but compared to my hand, well, you can't, that's heavy. It's a lot of veggies. So I will also have, I buy the container at Sprouts of the mixed spring mix, and I fill my bowl. Y'all know I use my chopper. And I do a chopped salad with just the spring mix and a tomato and some balsamic vinegar. And so my lunch is huge, huge. And it ends up being, yes, Laura, I will share the recipe. My lunch ends up being about, I'll run it through. I'll run it through the calculator and tell you, but I think it's about 350 calories, but it's massive. I mean, it will take me an hour to eat all of that. It's full of fiber. It's got plenty of protein. It's low calorie. It's no added sugar. It's very low in fat. So I chose that over, I could have eaten like, 2 pieces of 45 calorie bread and some low calorie lunch meat and some chips, some baked chips, and, a Weight Watchers bar, one of those little bars. And it would have been about the same number of calories, but it would have taken me 10 minutes to eat that. And that wouldn't have stuck in my stomach. So I'm encouraging you this week, when you're planning your meals, try to stop and think, what can I spend my budget for this meal on that's going to give me more bang for my buck, more food for the amount of points or calories, however you track. I know Chris and his wife were using one of the food plans for a while, and I'm pretty sure those are full of veggies usually. So the more veggies you can get in, the better off you'll be. It fills that stomach up, and it satisfies you longer. Plus, they're just good for you. They're full of vitamins and nutrients. And I was reading a study this past week when I was asked in, and it was very interesting. How accurate it is, I don't know, but it sounds good. But it said that these doctors, and they were not United States doctors, they somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where it was now. I'll have to go back and find it. But it said people whose diet is more than 50% plants, meaning fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. I wish I could remember the numbers. I'm going to find it and post it. But it said their reaction to COVID was significantly different. Didn't mean they didn't get it, but their ability to recover was significantly, it was like 70% better than people who don't eat a lot of plants in their diet. So I figure if it helps me lose weight and it helps me stay satisfied and it fills my stomach and it gives me the ability to recover from flu and upper respiratory infections and all of these other diseases, then why not, right? It just makes sense. So that's my challenge to you this week. Oh, Beth, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. My challenge to you this week is, here's my quote for you for the week. Wake up with determination, go to bed with satisfaction. Wake up with determination and go to bed with satisfaction. Our days aren't going to be perfect. We've learned that. Why we keep beating ourselves up with that is beyond me. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to lose the weight in 1 week. We're not ever going to live a lifestyle where we don't have those oops, or where we don't enjoy, maybe a treat at a birthday party or a family celebration of some kind. We're not going to live like that. So let's stop trying to make ourselves be perfect. Instead, let's be determined to do our best, determined to get more for my buck, determined to eat more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and then go to bed satisfied that I did good. Not satisfied that I was perfect, satisfied that I did good. Now, here's my soapbox, and this gets me in so much trouble. There is a huge difference between giving yourself grace and giving yourself permission. In my book, it's just me, just talking about me. If this doesn't apply to you, disregard. Giving myself grace, to me, is when I say, you know what? My kids and grandkids are going to be over. My grandsons, for whatever reason, like to make cookies from scratch when they come to my house. Giving myself grace is saying, I'm going to allow myself to enjoy making those memories with them and have a couple of cookies. It's okay. Giving myself permission to make bad decisions, to me, is when I say, nobody's watching. There's nobody here. I really want donuts. So I'm going to go to I'm out driving. I'm going to drive through and get myself a donut. And yet I don't get a donut. I drive through and I give myself permission. Well, I can't decide if I want just a regular one or if I want a chocolate one. So I'll get one of each. And then I'll be honest with you, there have been times that in addition to that, I got donut holes because, they're cheap. Now, I would never eat those in front of anyone else, but I would in secret. To me, that's where permission comes in, and permission gets me in trouble. Grace picks me up and says, it's okay. It's okay to venture off for a specific reason every now and then, but you get, with the very next meal, the very next bite, you get right back to the good choices. That's me. You may not feel that way, and that's okay if you don't. But so here again, my challenge for you this week. Wake up with determination and go to bed with satisfaction. That's all we can ask of ourselves. It doesn't have to be a perfect day, it just has to be a really good day. And every now and then throwing in a perfect day is a good thing, but we can't require that of ourselves. Okay? That's all I have today. I've got some running errands to do, and then I've got to get a quilt finished this afternoon, and we're going to be making plans this week for my brother-in-law's celebration of life, and so keep my husband in your prayers. This is a very difficult time for him. I've lost 2 siblings. He has not, and his family isn't close, so this is really weighing on him, but I so appreciate all of the messages that you sent telling me that you were keeping us in your prayers. I felt them and I appreciate them. I think that's it. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll come back later this afternoon and look at the comments, and I will post the recipe for the peanut sauce. And again, you can modify it by using the PB2 instead of plain peanut butter, and that would lower the calories and the fat quite a bit. But it really doesn't take much of it at all, just to add some flavor to the veggies. And anything that helps me get more veggies in is a good thing, right? All right. Have a great week. Chris, be careful walking out there. There's some crazy people out there. And I will see you all on the board. Bye, everyone.